Hey guys, Booligan here with Booligan Shooting Sports. I don't normally touch on the politics side of firearms, but I feel like there's some information that probably should be clarified and probably should be put into context with the executive actions, note, not executive orders, that are being announced by the Biden administration today. Obviously, they're putting out some executive actions, which are directions to other federal entities to create rules and things like that. They are not executive orders, which carry obviously a little bit of legal weight and are them specifically making rules themselves. Just to kind of clarify the difference. The two big ones that we're looking at are going to be the first one, which aims to slow the proliferation of ghost guns, and the other one is on pistol braces. On the ghost gun one, the language in their announcement specifically talks about nearly complete firearm kits, which a criminal can then use and within 30 minutes build a functioning firearm. And what their advice is on this and what their directive is on this is for the Justice Department within 30 days to make a proposed rule to slow the proliferation of these. How I am looking at this and my interpretation, which may or may not be correct, we'll know more in 30 days when we actually see what the proposed rule is. But how I am looking at that based on what they've said is they want to target things like the buy, build, shoot kits from Polymer 80, where it contains everything, where it contains an 80% lower and a slide, a barrel, and a jig, and everything else, sort of in a one-stop shop, and mails it straight to you, and within 30 minutes or so, you can build yourself a Glock. That is how I interpret it. But again, we don't know. What we'll do is we will see what actually comes out in 30 days when they make that ruling. They could use it to go more broad scope against 80% lowers. I think that this is unlikely. They could use it to go more broad scope against parts kits. Again, I think this is very unlikely because it would require reclassification of certain firearm components as firearms themselves. However, we'll see. We've got 30 days for them to issue their proposed rule. The next one is going to be on pistol braces. Now, pistol braces have always been kind of a little bit of a gray area for them, but what the directive was from the Biden administration was for the Justice Department to come up with a proposed rule on when the addition of a brace applied to a pistol turns it into a short-barreled rifle, and to have a clear rule on this. Fantastic. That's great. I am very much looking forward to some actual clear-cut, actionable information from the Justice Department on when adding a brace to a pistol makes it an SBR. Because as of right now, everyone's kind of operating under this kind of nebulous gray area where, oh, well, if the length of pole is over 13.5 inches, maybe, but sometimes less, but maybe sometimes more, it then becomes an SBR. Or if it has this on it, or if it has this accessory, if it has this optic or not. But there's no real hard and fast rule. I am all for the federal government and these agencies to put down actual written rules, because when there are written rules, we know how to follow them, and we're not just sort of guessing or pissing into the wind as far as what is and is not allowed on a build. They've issued them 60 days to issue this proposed rule. We'll see what it says in 60 days. A lot of people are looking at this and kind of doing a bit of a sky is falling, saying that this is a pistol brace ban. And again, I could be very wrong on this, but I don't see that happening on this at all. What I see is them being forced to create clear rules as far as when adding a brace to a pistol could possibly turn it into an SBR. There are other executive actions that are listed on this that we could go into a little bit more. Frankly, none of them are great. These are the ones that I actually do have some concerns about. One of the big ones is for the Justice Department to issue proposed language for red flag laws for other states to follow. This is just going to be proposals. I propose a lot of things in my life. I propose a lot of things to my wife. Doesn't mean that they're going to happen. The states will then, it's just sort of creating a form letter for red flag laws. I am against any red flag law, so I don't like this at all. However, I don't think this would go very well or go really anywhere, because this is, again, going to become a states' rights issue. It's just them providing a boilerplate template. The big one that I really don't like is his proposal of the head of the ATF. Guy's not great. He's a member of, I believe, the Giffords group. He's very anti-gun, and they want to propose making him the head of the ATF. Not great. So get out, speak to your senators, and see what you can do to hold up that confirmation, because, frankly, he is not a great fit for the job. One of the more interesting components that they want to do is to spend, frankly, a lot of money. They want to send money over to some of these at-risk or higher violence communities to do community violence mitigation measures. Awesome. That's a great use of federal money. A lot of times these types of programs have been put into places like, I believe, Baltimore had a similar sort of test program like this, and it did really good things to actually curb Baltimore's violence problem. It's actually sort of addressing that most of the violence in inner city areas and things like that are due to inner city problems and not necessarily due to guns themselves. So that's actually, frankly, kind of a good thing. I'm happy that that's where they're putting money, to help create community outreach programs and help to create community resources to get rid of some of the gang problems and things like that in the first place that lead to a lot of gang violence. So, all in all, this was much longer than I was intending for it to be. However, this is important stuff that I think it's good to talk about. You're going to see a lot of people panicking and a lot of people freaking out today, and I think that it is not the time for that. Today is just announcements on executive actions, not executive orders. Again, huge difference on those two things legally, and how they're sort of applied to the law. And I think what will be important is in 30 and in 60 days when we actually start getting back some of this information or some of these proposed rules that have been asked to be created by the Biden administration. That's when it's going to be, we're really going to need to sort of dive into this stuff. But as far as, like I said, the proliferation or the ghost gun executive action, it's not great. Might it apply to all polymer 80s? Maybe. Might it apply to all parts kits? Maybe. We'll see, but the sky is not quite falling yet. How it applies to braces, frankly, I welcome it, just because it will be really, really nice to have a clear-cut set of rules as far as when a brace becomes a stock. That will be really nice information to have as somebody that has designed a brace, following the available information that is sort of like hidden and kind of squirreled away on ATF documents. So thanks for sticking through this long video that is not normally what I talk about, but this is important stuff to talk about. So here we are. If you have any questions or concerns, put them in the comments and let's talk about it. And let's see what new information we have in the next 30 and 60 days. Thanks for watching.